What's up, everybody? Good evening. Later than I usually post a video, but tomorrow's probably going to be crazy no matter what. So I wanted to go ahead and get this up now because I think after everything that went down today, we need to take a video to kind of step back and see where we are right now and try to understand the big picture. So I'm going to go and post this. Some of my viewers are probably already in bed. Some of them are probably headed towards bed. And by the time they see this video, it'll probably be out of date because we'll know a lot more about what the team is doing based on their actions. But I want to go ahead and make this anyway. First of all, I want to talk a little bit more about Jarran Reed because we did get contract details. And I wanted to go ahead and go over them because I said in that first video that it was hard to know exactly how to feel about it without knowing the contract details. So here it is. This is from OTC. I think Spotrac has the same data. So it's 3 years, a total of 22 million cap hits. So I think 3 millions in incentives, I guess. So very little of the deal is in incentives. Now that first year cap hit's about, well, not about, it's exactly $5 million. So that is the impact on the 2025 cap, 5 million. And the dead cap hit for a 2026 release is 3 million. So here's how I'm looking at it. This is basically a 1 year, $8 million deal with 3 million void. Basically, you have him on that first year for the 5 million cap hit, and then you spread the cap hit out to 2026. And if you release him, you're just paying him the 3. So that makes it basically a 1 year, $8 million deal with the 3 million dead. It's a little bit better though, because let's say he plays really well in 2025, you then have kind of the option to not release him, and then you have him on 7.5 million in 2026, and then it becomes kind of a 2 year, $14 million deal with 1.5 million in a void year in 2027. So it's a little bit better than just doing 1 year in a void year because you have a crossroads you can reach, right? You can decide, okay, we actually don't want to let him go and have the dead money on the cap. We want to keep him. We're going to pay him a lot more, but we'll actually have him. And we could even do that again in 2027. Now you're pushing it then, 9.5 million, but you could. And the point is, well, what I'm trying to say is it gives you automatic options to just retain the player and not have the void year hit. So that's how I'm choosing to look at this deal. That being said, while I do acknowledge the relative freedom of this deal to get out from it relatively cheaply, I still don't know how to really feel great about giving this kind of deal to a player when I'm not sure what we're going to do with him in 2025. Some people say we need him for his veteran leadership, and I can get behind that. But at that particular position, it's kind of a nightmare. You've got Leonard Williams, who just played an incredible season. You've got Byron Murphy, who was your first-round pick last year. And now you've got Jarran Reed on a non-trivial cap hit. So who's going to play nose tackle? One of those 3 guys probably needs to play nose or needs to play a lot, maybe at big edge or something. I wonder what it is. And obviously, we're going to find out when the season starts. But what I'm worried about, this to me is the part of this that I think is really... this is the part that really bothers me and concerns me. If this ends in Byron Murphy playing at the nose a lot, if Byron Murphy plays a significant amount of his snaps at nose in 2025, I don't see how that's helping anybody. And Reed, while he has been successful as a nose tackle in some recent seasons, and while it seems to me that is his best position, this team has been somewhat resistant on doing it full time. So that's the way I think this can work. And with this cap hit, with this contract, I know it's not a terrible contract. Going to be very easy to get out from in basically any year after 2025. I still got to ask, what's he going to do here? Is it a three tech? Is it a nose tackle? If it's a three tech, who's the nose tackle? That's why I say what I say. It's not because he's a bad player. I'm trying to figure out how he fits into the big picture of this team. And right now, if you asked me, I'd say I don't think he fits in all that well. The investment that this team has made at the defensive tackle position these last couple years is pretty massive. And there is such a thing as diminishing returns if you keep on piling three techs on top of each other. So just to go ahead and put a cap on that real quick, because I don't want to make a whole separate video about it right now when there's so much other bigger stuff going on. It's not a terrible contract, but it's indicative of a player that is going to have a lot on his shoulders going forward, and I'm just trying to figure out where he fits in. That's the issue for me with this. Now, second of all, in light of everything that's happened today, and really the last few days, I redid the hierarchy of need chart. Now, I think this is all pretty obvious. I don't think I'm doing it. I'm not reinventing the wheel here, people. I know that, but I redid the needs. High needs are now quarterback, left guard, nose tackle. And nose tackle's weird, right? Because if one of our three guys that I mentioned, Big Cat, Murphy, and Reed are nose tackles, then that's very different. But I don't know if any of those guys are really a nose tackle. So in my mind, we have one quarterback and he has zero guaranteed money and he has 1 year left on his deal and it's $1 million contract. So we basically don't have not really a quarterback. We have a temporary quarterback, maybe. We don't have a left guard, and the only nose tackle we have that I know for sure is a nose tackle is Cam Young, and he may as well not exist. Medium need, wide receiver, and the only reason why that's not a high need is because of Kubiak's offense. We have JSN and nothing else. Center, that one's hard because obviously I would push this down if somebody like a Christian Haynes would move to center, but for now, the only guy that I like at all on this team is Oluwatimi at center. And until we move a guy like Haynes over, we don't have a backup, and I don't think Oluwatimi is all that anyway. Low need right guard just because for the moment we have three guys, and one of those three guys should be good enough. I just don't know who. At some point, maybe we move those guys to other positions, and then things change. Right tackle, I think we need a backup, and it might need to be a pretty decent backup because of Abe Lucas's health. Linebacker after today, that's going to be a low need because we re-signed Ernest Jones. Edge rusher, low need. We need someone to replace Draymond, but it doesn't have to be somebody stellar. It just needs to be somebody who can play. Cornerback, the Joby signing is going to help here, but we need depth. We don't really have much depth at all right now. We need somebody who can occupy a roster spot reliably. We need backup safeties because right now I think our backup safety is probably Jarran Reed, and he just can't stay healthy. And then no need is running back, tight end, left tackle, defensive tackle. All right, so that's where I see things sitting at the moment going into free agency. And we're less than 12 hours away from the kickoff of free agency. So what I'm going to say is this, just to kind of center everything. I'm pretty cool with where things are with the team in terms of trying to build this up gradually. A lot of people, based on my recent videos, seem to be under the impression that I'm really upset right now. I'm not. I'm not in love with everything going on right now. I'm not happy with the compensation we got for most of the good stuff on our offense, but it can still totally work. And I do have some degree of sympathy for the from the angle that, well, we just had to get whatever we could because we had to get rid of these guys. On some level, I can kind of see that. I think that's, I mean, that's dependent on so many things that we can't possibly know, but maybe, but, what I want to see this team do from here on out is show me they are building things up the right way. To me, re-signing Jarran Reed to this deal is not really doing things the right way, but it's not that big of a deal. It's not that much money. It's not a contract that's that hard to get out of. A worst case scenario, you get to mid-season next year and Jarran Reed basically ends up playing like 5 snaps a game because there's no room for him because Murphy and Leonard Williams are playing so well, you wouldn't dare take those guys off the field. So that's the worst case scenario, and that would be bad, but I could live with that, especially if it means Big Cat and Murphy are eating, and then you just get out from under it in 2026, and it's not that big of a deal. So I'm not really into the Jarran Reed re-signing. I'm not, but it's not that big of a deal. I'm sure there's some value here in having a veteran leader in the locker room. I'm not here to dismiss that out of hand, but you can't do this stuff over and over and over again. If you are truly rebuilding, then these multi-year deals with dead money that commit a non-trivial portion of your cap, even if it's just a little bit, you can't do it a lot. You can do it a little bit because you don't want your locker room to just completely melt. You want somebody in there who can keep things under control, somebody in there who can get things going on the right path. But you can't do that with a huge portion of your salary cap, which is why I say if this team signs Sam Darnold tomorrow, then I'm going to throw everything I just said out the window. I'm going to take it all back. I'm going to immediately demand John Schneider to be fired. Like that very second, the very second I hear that we're signing Sam Darnold, unless he's taking like some trivial contract or much less than I'm expecting, like I will flip that quickly, because what that tells me is we're not trying to build this up gradually. We're trying to stick it in the oven, crank it to max, and cook it, and then grab it out of the oven and shove it into our mouths and burn our mouth as it goes down. And that will tell me we're not doing this the right way. That will tell me we're just scrambling, trying to put together a team that we think can compete in 2025. So that is really what I'm looking for. What is the plan here? If this team is going to invest significant money into free agents over the next several days, it should be younger players, as young as possible, who are either very good at the same time, not just young, but also good. Okay, like somebody like Drew Dahlman. He is young, but he's also good enough to where it's easy to believe he's going to be good for the next 6 to 7 or 8 seasons. Somebody like that. Somebody like, obviously not Trey Smith now, but somebody like a Tevin Jenkins. Not that old. Good enough to where you believe that he can be good for the next half decade. Somebody like a Will Fries, if you believe that his breakout last year was legitimate. If you go for guys like that, and you're just basically trying to say, look, we're going to get the offensive line right now, and we're going to try to figure out the quarterback thing next year, or we're going to hope that the offensive line fix works and we're going to get a rookie quarterback or a cheap quarterback, that I'm going to be able to get behind. But if you try to get the quarterback first, if you get Sam Darnold on some giant contract, and then you just say, we're going to stick Sam Darnold behind our trash offensive line with one good receiver, and you think that's going to work, then I'm going to be, you're not going to be able to sell that to me, is what I'm going to say about that. So that's what I want to see tomorrow. I want to see somebody else get Sam Darnold. And like I said, if we're going to get a quarterback, I'd like to kind of get one of these lottery ticket quarterbacks, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, even Justin Fields, as long as he's reasonably priced. Somebody that's not going to murder my future cap, give me maximum freedom in 2026. Just keep going down this path that you have mostly gone down so far. And I want to say that mostly. I don't think Jarran Reed is a signing that is very congruent with building for the future. I think it's a signing that indicates we're trying to win now, which is why I don't think it makes sense. But again, it's not that big of a deal if you look at the way the contract is structured. It's not something that wipes out what you think you're doing. However, signing Sam Darnold to some $35 to $40 million a year deal for 3 years absolutely would. So I know I kind of said that this morning, but that to me is the pivot point of this free agency. If we don't sign Sam Darnold, I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty good with where this is going overall. If we do, well, you'll see what happens tomorrow. See you guys later. Go Hawks.